Welcome to the 5% Club podcast, the space where ambitious leaders go to master their careers and their lives. I'm ShaylaMKing, a former C-suite executive turned performance and happiness coach. And this is the podcast for leaders who want it all. The promotions, the paychecks, and luxurious amounts of time for what matters most. Each week, I'll teach you how to work less, make more, and design a life you love. Let's go. Hi, friends. Welcome back to the 5% Club. I'm ShaylaMKing, your favorite executive happiness coach. Today, we are talking about why 95% of people stay broke, stressed, and miserable, and how to train your brain to join the 5% who build wealth, peace, happiness, and a life they love. Let's jump in. Most humans live in a swirl of low-grade negativity. Now, depending on how woo-woo you are, you might talk about what frequency you're vibrating on. This is exactly what I'm talking about today. It's not because they're bad. It's not because they don't want a good life, but because their brain has never been trained to do anything differently, right? And once you start rewiring your thoughts, once you become a 5%er, something shifts. You can't sit in those conversations anymore. What used to feel normal, complaining about work, politics, the weather, suddenly feels heavy and unnecessary. You feel it in your body. You leave drained. That's not you being a snob. That's you evolving. You've probably been in these moments. I'm in them all the time. I go up to our Friday night football game or cheer competition, and every parent is like, "Oh my God, I'm so tired. It's just so busy." But what are you going to do? It's that underlying victim mentality, pointing out what's negative and saying that they're helpless in the situation. It's when you call a family member and they launch into how awful their job is and how toxic their boss is. But guess what? It's the same boss and the same role they've had for 10 years. You have that same conversation with them every time you call them, and you're starting to dread calling them. You can hear it wearing down on them physically. You know that that's how much they're suffering, yet they stay in it. You call a parent and the focus is aches and pains and worries. You meet with a friend and it's all about how annoying their spouse is, how long the grocery line was, and how, oh my God, the barista at Starbucks messed up my coffee order. And then there's the Facebook mom group, Lord help us all, in full meltdown mode over parking spots or the school not letting kids have phones this year. And it's always something to be up in arms about and something that I need you to agree with me on, because if you're a reasonable, good person, you would get how outrageous this is. And I just think in the back of my head, like, I don't give a shit. It's not on my radar. Why am I even on Facebook? Because this is the kind of thing that you see over and over and over again. It's that negativity. These conversations are everywhere, and because of that, they feel normal. But they are low-grade poison for your energy, your mindset, and your results. So not only do you have to make sure that you're not doing them yourselves, you're not engaging, you're not the primary person starting the negativity and then complaining, but that you're also not allowing for yourself to receive those conversations by being in them constantly, right? And so most people who want more money and aren't getting it, they have quiet, unchallenged negative beliefs about money. They think making money is hard. They think people that are rich are greedy. They joke, must be nice when somebody wins. And then they wonder why more money doesn't show up for them. It's the same with work. If your constant inner monologue is, my boss is awful, no one appreciates me, this place is a mess, it's always this, of course it never works out for me, of course they're trying to screw me over because I'm the victim and they're the villain and it's never fair and they're always trying to keep a man down and I'm that man, right? So when you have these kind of thoughts, they perpetuate that type of reality. And so not only do they keep you unhappy, but they can keep you unpaid. And so It's the opposite of the mindset that gets you promoted, paid, and happy. It's the mindset that keeps you exactly where you are. And it's the same thing with relationships as well. If your first thought about your partner, your boss, or your kids is how they annoy you, you'll treat them accordingly. Your thoughts are the script. You act them out every day. You cannot create a 5% life with 95% thoughts. So let's talk about the 5% solution. 5%ers aren't lucky. They're intentional. They notice their thoughts. They upgrade them without pretending life is perfect. And they protect their energy, limiting how much negativity they let in from themselves or others. This doesn't mean cutting everyone off, but it can mean leading the conversation, changing the subject, and setting an energy standard for yourself, because your energy is sacred. And if you're not curating those inputs, and you can't be surprised when your outputs suffer. And the world and our brains have automatic negative thoughts. Everything around us is negative. It's meant to scare you, to make you have fear, to make you want to be outraged, to make you sad, to draw your attention. One of my, a coach that I followed had a saying that said, if I give you 9 puppies and 1 cobra, what are you paying attention to? And it's that one negative thing. So we have to intentionally try to fill our life with positive, because a negative grabs your attention and holds on. All right. So we're not going to try to change other people. People are going to be ready to change when they want. And this is one of the trickiest situations. And I am not telling you that I know how to fix people or bring them along with you. That's not what we're talking about today. But I will give you some tips on how to redirect conversations, and they'll work with some and they won't work with others. Right? But what I want you to understand is the reason that you're noticing this, the reason that you are feeling like everyone around you is so negative and noticing that constant repetition of negativity from some family and friends, where it always feels like they get themselves into these bad situations and then they need help out. The reason you're noticing that is because you've evolved, right? It's because you have now up-leveled your thinking. You now have more positive thoughts. And so when others are on auto repeat of negative, it's like an alert button now. Now you can see those big red lights and you're like, oh shit, God, that is negative. Whereas before you might have just naturally engaged in the conversation and thought it was just regular conversation, because for most people it is. For most people, me telling you about my drive and the parking and telling you about road rage because somebody, oh my God, they didn't even know. The light turned green for like 8 seconds before this person even went. Like, those are not conversations we are going to let fill our brain anymore. The most powerful thing I've ever learned through coaching, I want you to hear this. The most powerful thing I've ever learned through coaching is that I don't have to think about things that don't make me happy. I'm going to repeat it. I don't have to think about things that don't make me happy. And so reliving any of that negativity, or even just having the initial thought in the moment, instead of thinking about road rage, I can think about anything I want. Why not let it be beautiful? Why not let it be full of hope? Why not let it be being grateful for something I already have, or being excited about something that's coming in the future? I get to control my own brain. And when I do, I'm elevating my frequency. I'm expecting good things out of life, and they are happening. They are everywhere. I can believe that life is hard and terrible. And if you watch politics and you see what's happening in the world, the whole thing is falling apart, Shayla. You just don't get it. I don't get it because I don't fill my life with those things. I get that life is beautiful and hopeful. I get that there are amazing people out there doing amazing things in this world. That's the piece, because I get to choose either way. I can see it either way. So why would I not want to be happy? Right? So let's talk about how we're not going to change anyone around us. If they're not ready for growth, if they don't want to change, we are not going to tell them that they should. We get to be an inspiration by living our own life and being happy. And at some point, people in our life go, hey, things feel different. Things look different. Can you tell me what you're doing? And if they ask, we can offer. And until then, we're going to live our life a little different. People aren't going to get it. They're going to question us. They're going to think we're too bougie to talk about the real stuff in life, or we're too snobby to care because now we have money or we don't have these problems. So we're just an asshole that doesn't get it because life's not as hard for us because we're lucky. Aren't those true dynamics that happen if there's any type of movement, of upward movement? It gets lonelier, you feel like you're being judged more, and you just want to still relate, but at the same time, you don't relate to everything because you're not relating to the constant complaining. So let's go through what you can do to redirect the conversations without trying to change somebody, because when and if they're ready, they'll let you know. Okay? So you're still going to hear negative talk from yourself and others. The skill is knowing how to gently redirect without being that person who preaches at everyone. If it's your own thoughts, I want you to catch it. Wait, that's my victim brain again. Name it. This is a scarcity thought. Redirect it. What would a 5%er believe right now? What thought would feel powerful instead of pitiful? Is this something helping me create the life that I want? If it's someone else, empathize if you mean it, not if you don't. Yeah, that's frustrating. What's been going well lately? Or if you don't empathize, if it doesn't make sense to you that they're complaining. I struggle sometimes with a lot of moms talk about how busy they are. And we have 5 kids and I don't feel like we're busy. I love our life. I love how I intentionally spend my time. I don't do things I don't want to do. And I'm still working full time and I'm still going to watch their games. And I have chosen to use my time the way that I want. And I have luxurious amounts of time for the things that matter most. So I do struggle sometimes when the conversations talk about how busy that moms are and how overwhelming it is, but there's no choice there. And no one asked me to coach them how to redirect their time and their energy. No one asked me to coach them on how to improve their thoughts about it. And so I'm not going to say, yeah, it's so frustrating. I mean, but what are you going to do? I'm not going to say that I agree when I don't, but I also don't need to jump in and coach people. Make sense? So in that situation, I might try to redirect it and just say, what's something fun you're looking forward to? You guys, do you have any trips planned this year? Is there anything, what lights you up the most about 2025? What do you like to do for fun outside of work? A lot of people don't work around here. What do you like to do for fun and for hobbies? And then it'll go back, right? Hobbies. Who has time for hobbies? I'm just taking care of the kids all the time, right? What's your favorite sport to watch of your kids, right? So you can bring it back to the positive. Sometimes with friends, I will say, I've been trying to avoid venting. Could we switch gears? Or I have had times where it's actually negative talk about other women, which I won't participate in. And I've actually said, is there anyone that you like that you want to talk about? Is there a woman you admire that we could talk about? Who do you think's amazing that I haven't met yet? Instead of talking about somebody that I haven't met, that I don't know, that they think negatively about, right? I've said, I feel really uncomfortable speaking negative about another woman. What other topics could we talk about? So you choose how directly that you want to go on these, but whenever they get negative, you can pull them out softly or more directly, and you can grow in your comfort to do so. And some people will take it well and some won't, and that's okay. But you stayed to your truth of being positive and focusing on the positive. And you could say, tell me something that lit you up this week. You don't need to be their therapist, but you can try to steer the ship. All right. So there is a ton that you can do as well. I'll do a whole nother episode on self-love and self-esteem. I've done a huge transformation on my life on what those inner thoughts are and how I think about myself and how much I love and care for myself. And so we'll do a whole episode on that. But you can constantly build your positivity by building your self-esteem and by building your gratitude and interrupting those negative loops. Thoughts to build your self-esteem and gratitude. I like or love who I'm becoming. I'm already further than I've ever been. This version of me is inevitable. I'm proud of how I handled that. Today is going to be such a good day. I'm so grateful for my life. God, I have a beautiful life. I always talk about, I have coffee mugs that I love. They make me so happy in the morning. They're like little glass, embezzled. I don't know how to say that. Embossed. I don't know, whatever. They're textured and they're like little granny glasses and they make me so happy, right? So that's something that I might, think about how grateful I am. I'm grateful for when I sit on my couch and I look up, we have a really wide hallway and then we have these big windows that go out back and we have trees behind us instead of another lot. And I just think about how freaking fortunate I am to live in this house and to have that view. And what a great life that I live. I think back, and I'm sure this is true for so many of you, what do you have now that younger you would be so impressed by, that never thought was possible, right? I'm just a girl from Kansas and I'm living well beyond what I ever expected. And I love living in that gratitude and knowing how freaking amazing my life is. I love how I've curated. I love neutrals. They're very calming, as you can tell from my backgrounds and a lot of my wardrobe. And I love that calm. I love driving. I live in Texas Hill Country and there's hills everywhere. And as I'm driving, the kids everywhere, I just think about how blessed we are to live here and have these views. So having that kind of internal dialogue rather than nothing ever works out for me. I knew this wasn't going to work. I knew this wasn't going to work right. I know that I wasn't going to get the parking spot at school, and I knew that traffic was going to take so long, and I just knew and expected I was going to have a shitty life. And that's what it sounds like, right? I said, I know it's going to work out for me. I know I'm going to have an amazing day. Everything works out for me. I have the best life ever. And when you hear those negative loops, you can replace them. You can replace them by telling yourself a win from the week, a skill that you're learning, something you're excited about, a funny story from your kids or work, a book or podcast that inspires you, a dream trip or experience you're planning, asking what's lighting you up lately. These are all questions that you can ask other people and ask yourself. It doesn't matter your circumstances, it matters your attitude. And when you improve that attitude, you can improve your ability to make more money, your ability to attract other positive friends and people that will help you just keep leveling up in life. And obviously, you'll build your happiness. I remember that I had become the chief people officer for a wine company, and I had left a very stable job at Koch Industries where I was leading mergers and acquisitions integration. And it was honestly my dream job. I got to work with every division across the company, and I helped the leader transition into the company, take on the PBM or MBM mindset, take on the culture. I helped leaderships improve. And then we got to work on the actual bottom line of the company, which really excites me to be able to work on profitability. And so we made sure that we were increasing revenue according to our targets. We made sure we were decreasing our costs according to our targets and turning businesses around. And it psychs me up to do that, right? So I take a huge risk and leap to leave that and go to a chief people officer role at a wine company. And it was kind of a startup. They'd actually been around for 10 years, had a great run during COVID because it was wine to your door delivery, right? And so they asked me to be their chief people and culture officer, gave me an amazing 7-figure offer with all of the variable comp and brought me on board. And a year later, based on where the market conditions were and when they went public, a year later, they were bankrupt. And so I got laid off from that company as they went bankrupt. And I started my business, and 2 weeks later, I was in a coma. And it was a freak accident. I was supposed to be taking my kids to Chicago on vacation, and a nurse accidentally put air in my veins when doing a somewhat routine procedure for a blood treatment. And I talked to one of my peers at the wine company afterwards, and it was like a couple months after that all happened. And he goes, God, I just feel like you have the worst luck. And when he said that to me, I got caught completely off guard. I said, what do you mean? I literally didn't understand what he meant. I go, what do you mean? He goes, well, the company went under. We filed bankruptcy. The whole company shut down. You almost died. You ended up in a coma. You were on life support. You had to learn to walk and talk again. Your kids thought you were dead. And I go, oh my God, no, I don't feel that way at all. I said, I freaking lived. I started my own business. I got engaged. I feel like I'm living my best life ever. I freaking lived, right? It's not about our circumstances. I wasn't unlucky. I'm so freaking lucky. I lived when I shouldn't have lived. I lived when every doctor said our only hope is prayers. And through the grace of God, through the prayers, through my strong desire to live, I'm here. And I am choosing positive thoughts for the rest of my freaking life. Right? It's not about our circumstances. It's about the thoughts that we choose about them. And I want you to choose some winning thoughts. That's what 5%ers do. It's just a habit. You can redirect them and that you'll find this beautiful tipping point. And then your thoughts will naturally become more positive than negative. I even can watch my own videos now and watch my own work now, which I know most people feel really icky about. And I can be like, oh my God, she's so cute. Oh my God, that's so good. And I want you to get there to where you fully love yourself and you fully expect the best out of life. And you feel so freaking blessed and grateful for this amazing life we have. That's what I want for each of you. And when I talk about living an epic life, that's what I mean. All right, let's go. If this episode hit home, I want you to subscribe, rate, and review, and share it with a friend who's ready to join the 5% Club. And if you want to train your brain and upgrade your life, join the waitlist at ShaylaMKing.com. Let's live our best epic life, friends. See you next week. Thanks for joining me in the 5% Club today. If you're ready to work less, make more, and design a life you love, go to ShaylaMKing.com to join the 5% Club waitlist. Each Monday, I'll send you something you can implement immediately, and you'll be the first to know when applications open for the Performance and Happiness Lab, my group training program designed to accelerate you into a happy, confident executive who loves their whole life. See you there.